everyone, it's a up market on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So let's see if we can pull it up here. I'm running a very developmental hotspot. it runs nice sometimes, but oh, there we go. Hey, that's my cousin, Tien Huynh. Um, but let's go to Yahoo, which I actually used before Google. Um, you know, the company still exists, but there was a time where they sold out part of it or merged it. So, oh, man, I wish I had worked on the internet system first years ago. I thought it'd be easier. Um, but I just read on Yahoo Finance, Dow Jones is up about 7 points, which is good. Yesterday it was down 344, but it's at those still the record high levels, over 34,000 points. Okay. For those of you new to the stock market, people are wondering how's that number made or what does it mean? It's actually the combined price of 100 major stocks that are listed on an index in the New York Wall Street market, which is, they say New York, but it's traded worldwide. Um, so that's the price. So if you average it out, it ends up like $340 per a company, right? And if you look at the whole index, there's different companies on there. I think Boeing's on there. I could probably name every company on there, but so I might be guessing because the list has changed over time and there's different Dow Jones lists. There's Dow Jones Future, but Boeing's definitely on there. Home Depot's on there. I think Exxon Mobil is on there. A lot of companies people would recognize. Um, a new one that was added is a company I worked for, Honeywell. And I think possibly Coca-Cola is on there because it's like the biggest drink company in the world and one of the oldest, not surprisingly. The seniority rule sometimes, which is sad. When you're a junior and you're like, oh, but juniors rule too. But so that's the good thing about the Dow Jones, the up market. Oh, another thing yesterday I want to talk about. Finally, I'm in the positive of Godcoin, so I'm making progress. It's $1.41 for Godcoin and Chain, and I'm in the plus because I bought it a little bit high because I couldn't figure out where the trough was exactly, and so it actually dropped, I think, all the way down to like $1.07 or less, $1.06 or something, and now it's back up 141. And I think I purchased it at about 129 or so. I'll have to look at my records. So that's good. We're just trying to solve the issue. One thing I don't like about the new securities is you're forced to use a two-factor phone verification, and you could use email before. It's online. Let's keep it online. It's when you try to cross it over to phones, and then phone service is kind of expensive. If you add it up, it's almost $1,000 a year, and I'm not even using it. It's unlimited, but I might use it a few hours a day only, so I'm getting overcharged. So that's something I need to talk with my carrier about. But then when you go overseas, it's hard to set it up to receive messages. A lot of messages I've sent are stuck somewhere hidden in the system. I'm looking for it. But I wish you didn't need to use that because I only have a little in there, and the password's good enough. Until I need that extra security, and I like to turn it on. If I'm putting a lot of money in there, I guess. But I guess preventive or preemptive stuff might be good. It's just a pain because I can't use my other phone number sometimes. Some websites require a US number, even though on the market for cryptocurrency or digital currencies, There's literally every country on there. It's like some sites list almost 15,000 different ones there. There's like a Vietnam coin and US coin and France coin. But then the restriction where you can only use a US number is kind of screwed up. Or it doesn't show, because there's a lack of instructions how to format the number, but sometimes you have to put a 0 in front, and sometimes a 1 and a plus. And that lack of detail and lack of openness where all of them are accepted and formatted correctly is some programming or reprogram that needs to be finished. And, things have been around for thousands of years, so I would hope things would be better soon. A lot of people are working on it, I know, and thanks to all of them. Alright, so actually there's a double image of me, one behind the other one. Alright, so let's take a look at Yahoo News and Yahoo Finance. Now, the most free finance is literally accepting anything, and that's in concept is easy to do, but it's hard to do for everybody. So let's report on this one. The finance system, it's hard sometimes. On a down day, everything's down. Good days, most things are up. You have to do the math and be reasonable and win, especially if you're a heavy investor or you invest a lot of your money. But you can't get invested too much in false dreams or dreams too far in the future, or be impatient or greedy, Otherwise, you might as well make the money yourself, which I've made videos about that, which is a lot easier to make, but making it run is the hard part than trying to make money on the market. But you're following, this is like a real average of how much is in that particular stock total. This number here, like the Russell is the whole index, but here's the NASDAQ here. So, okay, on this one, they're already up to 170. So it's really a positive day. 24 is always like a nice number. I see why Kobe used to have that number. And God, I'm trying to remember who was 24 in the Sonics. Gary Payton was number 20. I don't remember Nate McMillan's number. He had at least 2 or 3. And then Sean Kemp, Olden Polynice, and then there was Ruben Patterson. You recognize those names, you can tell I've watched people from like the 90s and 2000s. There's like a totally different set of players now that I can't even name. And then the Sonics franchise was kind of like half sold, like the players and some of the coaches and staff went down to Oklahoma Thunder. Now you can tell I was an NBA fan. I actually wrote an NBA report in 10th grade. So about the franchise and some of the business side and a few stats and stuff. It was a quick 5-page report, which somebody has. I don't actually have a full copy of that right now, but I'm sure there's one somewhere. Definitely on the hard drive, I typed it, because I actually typed it on a computer. Alright, so let's go back to the market here and take a look. Oh, sorry, my face is in the way, see? Here, we'll turn that off. So, I was trying to look up Phung Amazon, who has the top Phung account. Maybe it's this person. So we'll bookmark that. And then, crude oil is down $1.95. I read that Biden has ordered that oil prices need to lower, and they need to help people out, because it's really low. Good news on the jobless claims. which I always look weird, was nowadays I have so much work that I could never imagine being jobless. I just so the idea that somebody has no work at all, like, do they have a limited supply of everything? Like, how are they possibly? They got like a what, like 100 solar panels that last forever, or 100, uh, whatever. If you're an oil guy, 100 oil rigs or something. Like, how do they possibly have everything done? All their children are grown forever. They don't have any grandchildren, or how does it work? You know, they don't need to eat, or they eat and they're always full, or how does, they don't cook, or like there's always like each of those things that look like a little job, or it's like never done forever. You have to repeat it every day. That's what makes life interesting. Because if you didn't eat or spend anything, and you just, that's like an episode of Star Trek with the Q. It becomes so boring. There you go. Google's price here. And their parent company, if you're wondering what this is Alphabet, or ABC is another term for them. Their symbol is GOG, $2,700. So they're back up a little, but this used to be higher. At its record high up to this point in time, as in the future it'll probably be higher. But on the low point, it'll, Google started when it IPO'd. I remember I was there. It was about $150. There's insider prices that were cheaper. So, but those were usually for employees of Google or inside private investors. And now it's up to 2,700. But it used to be like 3,500, 3,600. So I'm not familiar with this stock that much. So it could be a good buy for somebody who needs and really likes Google, believes in it. But really all these stocks are kind of short-term investments. One rule is the stocks are high risk, and you got to invest for the short term, especially if you're a small-time investor. Save your money and then work on your more guaranteed incomes, your salary, your sales, things like that. So even prayer is like an income that people forget to count. So all right, but let's take a look at a stock I always like, one that I actually recorded, because I did a really nice trade on a practice website, so on how the market works. So I think it's United. There's United Technologies. I'm going to put United Airlines here. I don't even remember what their symbol is. United Airlines Holdings Incorporated. No? Okay. Every time I look at this, the title just gets longer. So it's 4142. Let's take a look at the max here. This gives us the most overall information. So this is a stock history. That's weird. The max only goes to 2006. Okay. All right. So this could be a good buy, but the best buy was this point here recently. That was about almost 2 years ago when I was down to 20-something dollars. Right now it's not too bad. Better less. The last month, but the last few weeks back in March here, you could see that. Some basic information here. Founded in 1968 in Chicago, 84,000 employees, revenue 43 billion. That's total for the whole company and all the customers, which they all owe, and I hope they pay someday. Scott Kirby, but really, there should be a buy one get one free for airline tickets, and tickets should be cheap, because you sit on a bus a whole day, it's only like a few $100, but you sit on an airline, it's like 1,000, and I know you're traveling further, but I really believe with God anything is possible, and to help the poor, we all need to spend a little less. It's just so hard to afford things. are high priced. So. And then I've been trying to figure out how to register a lot of different websites. I kind of create a remote domain registration, but registering individually for each site for 10, 20, 100, whatever, $1,000 a year is like a luxury right now for me. So there we go, I'm back. Well, that's weird. That's like an effect I just like popped in. So let's take a look at all that. So I'm trying to organize this. So I'm hoping we can get all that done, or at least started this year. Okay. I'm trying to place this here. If I put this here. See, if I move this, I can't see where my own camera is. Alright, so if you're wondering what softwares I'm using, I'll have to list that out. There's a character, or I think a word restriction of 5,000 words in the description, but I could link more. But I'm using Windows 10, 64-bit Pro version, and I'm using a PC. It's actually a Hewlett-Packard laptop. And I'm using OBS, which is a free software, which is nice. It works well for me. It's just the newer one takes a little setup. You really want to adjust your video quality to fit your hard drive, because if you got a small hard drive and you don't have a lot of extra space, and you like to save that stuff so you can work on it later, I recommend putting the video quality at about 450. So it gives a nice balance between good quality, but it's not a giant file size. Because the default's huge. I think it's like 5,000 or something. And literally, you can fill up like a gigabyte in less than like 10 minutes or like half an hour only. And then the file sizes become so large, and you're on a slow connection like I have, then you can't get the file up fast enough, and it takes too long to. You don't have room to, is what I mean. You don't have the room to make enough files. So, all right. So that's it. That's kind of my report for the day. So I'm really happy, and the most inspirational thing I can say: with God, all things are possible. God is always good, and then if you work for God, you will succeed. And it should be like one of the 10 commandments, or 20 or whatever, in the first book of Genesis, but it's buried all the way almost at the end of the Bible, and all the way in the New Testament, which is like the 70th or 60th book of the Bible. So, the page number varies from Bible to Bible. It's almost like page 800. So look up that verse and read that, what you can, and try it out. Even if you're atheist, they still say, I don't believe in God. They don't say, I don't believe in nothing. They still use the word God. And surprisingly atheistic people from Athens, is what I think they are, have some truth. And I've been in that mode. We've all been there, where we feel like there's no God. But in that time, you can still, when you're still faithful to yourself and still believe and still doing the right thing, you still getting there, but it's weaker. You don't have like that strong inspiration. And I think you're more blinded, because you feel like you have to rely so much on yourself that you can't connect with God to do the miracles and the work you need in life. So the little miracles that you can do, All right. So I wish I could post that verse. Maybe I can look it up here. Let's see. and success. And I like Bible Gateway, but there's many good Bible websites like Bible.com and okay, my hotspot's working good, so that's great. Well, that's a nice verse here, Joshua 1:8. Keep the book of the law always on your lips, meditate in day, and you may care for everything written, then you will prosper and be successful. That's actually really good advice. I like it. I am gonna save it. Oh shoot. I don't know which version of the Bible this is, but oh, it's here, NIV. Okay, that's pretty good. I don't actually have a hard copy of that, but it's okay. It's a little, sometimes the way it's worded in NIV, it's more like simple English, so it's a little generic. So if you're intermediate or a fluent English speaker or American English, it's a little watered down. So, but it gives you like a kind of a start point to build upon. You know what I mean? Especially if you're writing things for yourself or for other people. So, but you know, I'm looking. So I think the version I always read was NLT, and the one I use in my church because I'm Catholic is actually NAB, but there's like a revision, and there's been different NABs, and the miracle is that the verses in the Bible do change. You know, sometimes more than once in a day. So that's why the exact verse you found years ago, you try to find it, it's not there. You know, there's actually a new, somewhere exactly the same, somewhere different, and you have to recite from memory now. But these digital copies do change. So even stuff I've written by hand has changed. So it's kind of interesting how that works. Success is one of the important things in life. It's more than experience, because experience you find out is like mostly all the things you did right and wrong. And success is kind of a filtered, because your failures are the ones you did wrong. And success is what you need to focus on, learn to imitate. That's easier. But trying to learn a bunch of failures, that's all stuff you want to avoid. But it doesn't teach you how to get to where you need to go. So it's not positive enough, you know. It's useful, but it's not all you need. Not the last thing you need. Oh, this one's good too. So this is NLT. See, I'm always thinking of one all the way. That's where there's no New Testament one. These are all Old Testament. God, I'll have to take the time to research this and find that verse. So if you actually use the name of God or the word God and all your strongest positive words in whatever language you know, it helps you succeed. It really does. I was like, you could see it in the keyword search. In English, the most common word that search is God, Bible, heaven, you know, all the stuff that people value the most, everlasting life, and finance. You know, it's like money and stocks, but finance is like the last thing in the priority of people's mind. It's all the way in the middle here, half, in the lower half. It's like death. And resurrection's better. So everybody wants to continue their life. Only when you're in your worst moments you want to have nothing and start over anew. But that doesn't make sense if you think about it long enough. You know, what would you start with if you had nothing again? Where would you go from there? So Alright, so that's a little quick plug for BibleGateway.com. It's free service. Please use it. Please save the verses you like. I'm bothered by people who don't save it and then struggle to find it and then struggle in business. And there's a saying, don't trust anybody who doesn't have a book. And then the first verse of the New Testament is God so loved the world that he gave his only son to save the world, right? So if you don't practice saving the word of God, how are you going to save the world of God? That sounds like a joke or a pun on words, but it's true. God's giving you the word. He's like, save it. That's why they give you a big hard drive. The hard drive is usually the biggest thing on the computer for storage. And then you have to balance it between your digital life, okay, or your machinery life versus your handwritten stuff. So really you can digitize, type things up, but you should spend like an hour, a couple hours writing things out by hand too, and using that too. That shows like your real humanity. It has like a little more spirit, I think. But the digital ones, you can actually write with your finger on some apps. That helps. But being able to type it helps on the digital side too, because that makes it easier to share and read sometimes. But sometimes your handwriting is really hard. It's a little faster than writing too. I was writing out every single letter. I had to do that my whole life. That I don't think there was any time anybody really had that. Only there's always been some kind of machinery for most people's lives that replicates writing. So that helps. And I invite you to make your own study tools. Don't just rely on your pastor or your parents when you're of age. But you'd be surprised, even little quotes, you can add it to a website, and it's inspiration for everything in your life. Books, songs, even in sports. You can apply it to exercise too. So, like if you exercise and use the word God, kind of those positive affirmations, it's kind of like a prayer, and it kind of boosts you sometimes. You don't always have to talk about it, but when you need it, like do a lift like this and be like, God loves me, God loves my family, I will protect my family, I will protect God, I will be good. It has a seed of faith, it helps it grow. So thank God I feel a little better, but I've been having this, it feels almost like pneumonia, this weird gunky stuff stuck in my throat. The cold weather does it to me, and then I feel it's the pollution. And then I'm a little sick, but I honestly was never born this way, and I used to be, in good years, I used to be a lot healthier. But I remember one time being outside of Anchorage, and the air quality was so nice. I stopped coughing. I had been coughing and sneezing. And I'm hoping once we get close to perfect air quality and better food quality and my life's more balanced, I can enjoy good health forever. So, and I hope for that for everyone, especially my enemies, where you find out they're later on your closest friends and family. It's an odd term, but I wish we all were family on earth. We all loved each other. That's like the most important thing. I wish that was written in the Bible here, There. God commands us to love one another. That's the most common translation I've heard. But I always think God commands us to love everyone and everything, which sounds dumber for some reason. But for some reason, anything with the letter A sounds more intelligent. The alpha's first in the damn Latin alphabet. So there's some reference to that. Any lower in the alphabet, everybody thinks it's dumber. But it's like that saying I saw in Ghostwire Tokyo. The darker it is, well, not Ghostwire Tokyo, it was actually in Mother 3. The darker it is at dawn, the brighter the sunshine is at sunrise. And it's really true. That's why some of the darkest things are allowed to temporarily or happen once, but God uses it, tenfold or infinite fold to create goodness. So, like the conflict in Russia, and then it used to be Afghanistan, Iraq, and so many damn places. Even minor conflicts between people and families, we use to resolve things. I'd be happy to see that. I wish news was more positive. I wish it was called positive news or positive. It's supposed to be new is positive, new is good. Not so much of this hopeless, godless, almost like a lack of intelligence. I don't know, like the way the script's written for some news stories, it's horrible. And then the lack of freedom of the news reporters to actually speak about God cure, God immunity, God intelligence, God healing, and not. Now it's the COVID thing, but it used to be other things like pig flu and SARS. And it's just like this propaganda, like this virus. Right now I'm killing COVID. Right now, my lungs are killing COVID. We're winning. We will always win. Okay, against something that doesn't have a mind. It doesn't have books. It doesn't have its own soul. It's not even as considered really an animal. It can die from sunshine at the bottom of the ocean. When it's drowned, it's dead. And when it's frozen, it's dead. When it's dried out, it's dead again. And the amount of that stuff that exists is so little. So if you ever ask a doctor what percentage, because the whole 19 number is screwed up. Nobody's even learned 0 or 1 fluently. They're already up to 19. It's a random number. Okay. And it's dumb. It's like that H1, N1, nobody's, or N2, nobody's even learned A1 yet. They're already jumping to H. And then the H stands for this and that, and it just goes forever. It's dumb. So, but you can trust in God's plan that He tries to protect us all and heal us all, even though as a human, the pain you feel when you're sick is so bad. I still remember almost all the painful moments I've had. And, but you gotta learn how to get past that and prevent. And really, God, yourself, your family are your biggest helps. So I hope this comes out. Sorry about the last video. I noticed the microphone volume versus the audio was, the 2 meters don't quite line up right, or they're not the same level. So this doesn't sound right. I might have to re-record it or put subtitles to help it out. So I'll probably give this lecture or a similar one again. Though I don't like to repeat myself, to be honest. I like to say it just a few times. So only when necessary, Okay. So, wow, 34 minutes have already passed. Literally feels like only 10. I can only imagine how time flies when I'm like 150, or like Noah's grandfather's age, like almost 1,000 years old. Which I think in Christ we're already over 2,000 years old, right? So, anyways, I gotta get working on other projects, and so this is just a general report for the day, March 24th, 2022. almost 10 a.m. here from Conroe, Texas. So from my studio right here. So we'll see y'all later. Take care, everybody.